as she made her way towards the hut with the morning refreshments. That must have been between 10:45 and 10:55, sir.
That's only about 10 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah.
That old boy, he was really worried that Catrina's death might spoil the development plans for the estate. But he was a bit concerned that that scheme wasn't as kosher as what it seemed in the first place. He's definitely worried about his son, though, renewing the relationship with Catrina. And I reckon that might have been a bit of a problem for him.
Well, it's just like the royals, sir, isn't it? Their first priority is always an heir and a spare.
Just so, Chalmers, sit down, won't you? Now, of course, I suppose he was looking for an heir, wasn't he? But that Tristram was really upset about what happened.
Oh, you say that, sir, but he did let on that she had rejected his advances after the dinner party, and that he certainly had formed the impression that she was using him as a way of cashing in, sir, rather than rekindling any interest in him.
Well, she did rather throw him over once before, and don't forget, she also was two-timing him.
Well, look, both of them suggested that Catrina would have been unlikely to have met any of the locals before, apart from those that were on the estate 30 years ago. That would include Vera and Bill. It is also possible, however, she could have had business dealings with people living in the village since then.
What do you think of their mums, then?
Well, they didn't really have much, sir, if you ask me. I mean, they seem quite an argumentative couple. She certainly wore the trousers in that relationship, sir. And it appeared there was a bit of a personality clash between her and Catrina.
Well, the more interesting question is, was there any business link between them and the deceased? I reckon there must be a possibility. They're both very vague on that subject, despite the fact that Charles had obviously lost a substantial amount of money on a property deal. What have we got here? I don't think his wife knew much about that, you know, Charles.
No, I don't
I reckon
think
we
so,
could investigate that theme a lot further.
Yeah, the only other two that we've seen are the Count and Mr. Nowak. Have you formed any views about them, sir?
The Count. He's Polish, apparently, that Count. Very hoity-toity bloke. But he was useful, giving us some very precise details about Catrina's demise. He indicated demise, D-I, well, whatever. He indicated very clearly in his statement that she left her peg to get hold of her dog, but fell and screamed for the first time after a particular shot was fired.
First time.
He speculated that this might have hit her, but was confident that it was the late shot what was responsible for her second scream, and we must assume her death.
That's right.
This tallies with all the other accounts, but
Yeah.
he happens to have been pretty much of an eyewitness to all of it.
Well, Mr. Nowak was also pretty close to the incident as well, sir. I mean, he may not have witnessed as much, but what he did observe seems to fit right in.
Nowak. He's supposed to be Polish. He sounds like he's a Millwall supporter to me. Anyway, he said he saw Vera rushing into the hut immediately after the first scream, which he reckoned was out of character. With his snippets of translations of Vera's mutterings, what were they? Here, let's have a look here.
What terrible accident.
Terrible accident, mean and horrible. We really must question her carefully when she calms down.
Now, what do you make of his obsession with metal detecting in the area?
Well, them Poles do seem awfully keen on piecing together their history over here. I'm really surprised that Count's so interested in his heritage centre. After all, people have been travelling all over his land.
Yeah, but not as much as a housing development, sir.
Well, that's true. But them brothers Nowak, it's hard to believe that lot spent so long looking for worthless material. I mean, fancy spending a couple of hours out with a detector looking at, dirty old brass, dirty beer cans. Imagine, immediately before a posh dinner party. God, it takes all sorts, doesn't it? Still, he does say he saw Bill out in the woods in the early evening.
Yeah.
Do you think there's more to that than just a morbid desire to dig up the past?
Well, it was probably a rather wretched past as well, sir. I mean, during the war and everything, the Count must have been like hell for some of them. Not that I would have liked to live under those conditions.
No, nor me. Anyway, we better get on with it. Let's call, what's her name, Sarah now. She was
Sarah.
waitressing at the dinner and acting as a beaver in the shoot.
Okay,
And
sir.
I can't believe she's got anything to do with it, so she ought to give us some valuable information. Give her a call.
Okay, we'll do, Sarah. Sarah, please! Thanks, Steve.
you very much for coming. I realise this is going to be quite difficult for you, but if you wouldn't mind answering a few questions that WPC Chalmers is going to ask you. Now, don't worry, you can refer to the statement what you did earlier, but there might be a few additional questions, all right? Now, listen, you've got your sergeant's exams coming up soon, so just you ask the questions this time.
Okay, sir. Okay. I understand that you were waiting on tables at yesterday's dinner party. Can you tell me anything about the behaviour of the guests, especially in relation to their interaction with Catrina, Holland, or Wellmade?
Well, it all seemed fairly convivial to me. Sir B seemed in good form. Charles seemed very friendly at the beginning. I remember thinking he might have had a drink or two before arriving. He seemed to be chatting intensely with Catrina. Well, until his wife intervened. She seemed a bit sharp with Catrina. I felt a sort of catty argument was developing between them.
What about Tristram and Sir Berkeley?
Tristram seemed to follow Catrina round. A bit like a puppy, really. Sir B seemed quite attentive to her as well.
What about the others?
I was not aware that anyone else spoke to her much. Mr. Clark, Kenneth, seemed a bit frosty towards her, but I don't know why. Mr. Zenorsky and Count Richard seemed to mainly talking to Sir Berkeley and Tristram. They seemed quite serious about something, but again, I don't know why. Although I did overhear something about a heritage centre. Vera seemed quite on edge as well. But she is getting on a bit and was probably fretting about getting the refreshments sorted.
That's all very interesting, thank you. What about the shoot? Did you see anything there?
As a matter of fact, at the end of the drive, I just reached the edge of the copse where the birds get put up. I didn't want to watch the slaughter, but I was surprised to hear a dog barking excitedly before the whistle was blown. There was also someone calling to the dog pretty sharply. I just spotted the dog when a woman ran out of it. When she got to him, he seemed to stumble and fall. She let out a scream. Then the whistle went immediately for the end of the drive. But there was distinctly one further later shot, followed by another, more piercing scream.
Could you tell whether the woman was carrying her gun when she approached the dog?
I don't think so. I certainly didn't see one under her arm. But I couldn't be sure. She was quite some distance away.
What happened next?
A man arrived on the scene first, followed by the others. They all seemed very concerned, and it seemed like a serious problem. Yes, and one of them lifted the woman in his arms, and looked very distraught. I think that was Tristram. Then my grandfather came by my side and told me to go home, which I did. I'm sure he didn't want me to see things up close.
Okay, that's all for now, Sarah. You've been really helpful. Now, if you think of anything else, you will come back and let us know, won't you? Okay, thank you. You can go now. No, she don't need to do that. Look, I think we ought to call Mr. Kent in now, please, Chalmers. Kent, K-E-N.
Yeah, got it, sir. Mr. Kent! Right, would you kindly sit down here, please, Mr. Kent?
Evening, Mr. Kent. Please sit down. I realise this could be quite distressing for you and all that with what's happened, but please bear with us while WCB Chalmers here asks you a few questions. You've got your statement. You can refer to it any time you want.
Firstly, Mr. Kent.
Just call me Bill. Everybody in the village calls me Bill. Well, it's changed something worse, of course.
Okay, Bill. Firstly, what can you tell me about the parish council discussion of the development plan for the estate?
That was a normal division of opinion. Sir B declared an interest and he left the room. Now, Ken was asked to leave the room for the same reason, but he was miffed at this, although he did go after a bit of an argument.
Well, what were your views about time.
Yeah. Well, you see, I don't like to see the Greenbelt built, you know, taken life. But then, I mean, the old refugee camp was built on it, and there was loads of them there. They never caused any harm. I mean, they livened the place up a bit, the truth be known. You know, this village going to become a glorified Derby and Jump Club if we're not careful. Too many old people in it.
I understand that you have worked on the estate for many years. You must know the words like the back of your hand.
Yeah. What, the back of my hand? I do, yeah. Yeah, lived here 70 years, over 70 years I've been here, man and boy. Mind you, it's changed a bit in those times. I mean, bits have been sold off, and coppicing has had its effect too.
What about Rosewood then? Has that changed much?
Rosewood. Now, Rosewood didn't change for years. But then they started the coppice sack last year. Oh, first time in living memory. All that clearance made a real difference to the way things look.
So what about the spot where the body was found?
Well, see, I normally walk that area before the shoot, you know, putting out the pegs and checking everything around the house. It's clean and respectable like.
What do you mean by that?
Ah, well, it's a favourite place for youngsters to hang out. So there's always litter sculling around there, you know? Always stuff to clean up. Yeah. It's in a bit of an old state around there. You wouldn't believe the stuff you find. I mean, not to mention of graffiti. When I was a young lad, we just used to carve our initials on a tree. Bet some of mine are still up there. But nowadays, you wouldn't believe what they write. It's disgusting. And they can't even spell proper.
So what have you found up there recently?
Well, the normal, I mean, sweet wrappers and fish packets, tin cans. I have found ladies' underwear hanging in the branches and used unmentionables strewn on the ground.
So, what do you do with all these items then?
Well, you see, the missus has put on an unfortunate amount of weight recently, so the underwear don't fit her no more. And I wouldn't put the other stuff in my pocket to bring back, so I normally burn it, dig a hole and bury it up there. I've got quite a little landfill site going on now, you know.
Is that legal, sir?
I shouldn't think so, Chalmers, no.
What else would you do with it?
Do you keep a spade in the hut?
Got a spade, keep a spade there and a little stove, and I've got some chemicals for cleaning off the graffiti.
Turning to the shooting, did you see anything?
Well, not till afterwards. I heard the dog barking and I heard the screams. So I left the bird pens and then I checked that young Sarah was okay and I called the dogs. But by the time I got to the spot, the shooting party had already gathered around the body. Yeah. And of course it was then I was told that it was Catrina's dog that had been behaving strangely and barking and that.
Did you discover what caused the problem with it?
No, I didn't. I did investigate the area by peg 7, and there was a large hole being dug next to an old tree stump.
Peg 7, eh?
Peg 7, yeah.
What could have caused this? I mean, might someone have been digging?
Could have been. Might have been a dog though on the track of an animal, the animal scent. Could have been a badger or a fox. But the ground was disturbed at quite some depth. Dog wouldn't have had a chance to do that all on its own.
Thank you. That's really helpful. I mean, it's a pity not everyone is as observant as you are. Oh, one more thing. I don't suppose that you saw Catrina's gun anywhere nearby?
Yeah, I did. You see, I'm responsible for all the guns borrowed from the hall, so I thought I'd best keep my eye out for it, yeah? And so I looked around, I found it leaning up against a tree. You know, by peg 7 again. Of course, I didn't touch it, because I knew you'd want to examine it. But I can't guarantee that nobody else had touched it, yeah, or moved it for that matter.
What did you do after the ambulance and police arrived?
Well, of course, we'd already called it all to the shoot, and I thought I'd best go and find Vera. So I went to the hut. She was in a bad way, you know, pretty upset, I'd say. So I tried to comfort her, and then I had to take all the stuff back to the hall. but she was still distraught when I had to leave to go home.
Have you any idea why she was so upset?
Well, really. But they can be a bit emotional, these foreign types. You know what they're like, yeah? But there again, I don't know what she had witnessed yesterday, or earlier in her life for that matter. Yeah? You know, some of the villagers used to say she was a spy during the war.
Oh, did they indeed?
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk to her next.
Yeah.
Now, that's all for now, Mr. Kent.
Oh, thank you.
If you think of anything else, let us know, won't you?
Thank you.
Charming. We've got to interview that Vera now. She weren't in any fit state before to be interviewed, but now she'll be able to answer our questions. So if you'd like to give her a call, and we'll see if she can answer sensibly.
Okay, sir. I'll be a little bit quieter this time, sir.
I think you should be.
Vera, please. Vera, please. Vera! Yes, please. Vera.
Do come in,
Come and sit
Vera.
down, please.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Now, Vera, please sit down. I realise how upsetting this is going to be for you, but please bear with us while we ask you a few questions. Now, I'll start by repeating some of the questions what I asked earlier, just for confirmation, but you're welcome to refer to your statement any time you wish. And I'll do this one, Chalmers, you can see how it's done properly, all right? Now, Vera, it's really important that you tell us exactly what you can remember about the shoot. Now, let's start with asking you, what was your role during the proceedings?
I always carry refreshments up to the house for the break after the first drive. Bigos, that's a Polish stew with added Polish vodka. Very good on a cold morning. Everyone loves my bigos. I left the wool in it at about 10:15 as usual.
Okay, and what did you see on your way to the up?
The path runs behind the pegs to the house. The place looked very different. Much more open in front of the woods. The lovely trees had been cut down not long ago.
Now, think carefully. Who did you see?
Who did I see? Well, the first peg, he was empty. As I say here, I didn't see anyone there. But I did see Mrs. Hunt and Sir B as I passed behind them. And I also saw Mr. Tristram visit his peg. But I didn't notice Mr. Hunt or Mr. Nowak.
Did you hear anything?
Oh, guns are always very noisy. But I heard a dog barking and a woman, she's shouting at it.
And where was you at this point?
I was just past peg 6.
And what did you do then? Oh, hang on, it's my phone. Yeah, hello. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, thanks, Bill. Oh, that's very interesting. Did you find that? Yeah. Another. Okay, the rest tomorrow. Okay. Okay. Yeah, thanks very much. Okay, yeah, I'll be in touch later. Yeah, cheers. Bye. Okay, excuse me, I need to make a few notes here. Right. Okay, now, Vera. Sorry about that phone call. Got in the way. Now, did you then go and see what all the fuss was about?
Yes, I did.
And what did you see?
I saw Miss Catrina go towards Thorpe.
Yeah. Did she have a gun with her? Or was it by the tree near peg 7?
No, it was by the tree.
Did you pick up the gun?
Yes, I'm afraid I did. I confess I shot the gun. It must have been me that caused her death.
But why did you shoot at her?
I tried to warn her away from the area where the dog was. But I shot into the air, and I heard her scream. I saw her fall. It was terrible, horrible.
But why would you want to warn her away from the area?
No more. It was me. It was
may arm your defence if you do not mention when questioned anything you later rely on in court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence. You will be detained in the local police cells until I decide to question you further. Do you understand? Take her away.
Oh, well done, sir. You wrapped that one up nicely. Congratulations.
Yeah, okay, Chalmers. You might say that, but
Oh, now.
I took some notes here on that phone call. Now, we're not out of the woods yet, because there's more to that earlier forensics report that was phoned in.
Oh,
Okay, so they found Vera's prints on the right trigger of the shotgun
yeah.
and on the stock,
Yeah.
but Catrina's dabs were only found on the barrels. There weren't any others found. Now, she wasn't wearing gloves either, and that's strange, because both barrels had been fired, and there were no marks on the left trigger. It might have been white, of course. We could have more work to do. We might not be out of the end of this yet. And then, of course, there's the soil sample analysis. Chalmers, no stone must be left unturned. We've still got one more person to interview. What's his name here?
Mr. Clark?
Mr. Clark.
Mr. Clark.
Please, let's have Mr. Clark in.
Okay, sir. Mr. Clark, please.
Mr. Clark, please come in. Sorry to bother you about this, and I'm sure it's probably very distressing for you. But please bear with us while WPC Chalmers here asks you a few questions.
It's my turn again, sir.
Yes, it's your turn again. Don't mess it up, Chalmers. You can refer to your statement if you wish.
Your statement, sir. Please sit down, Mr.
That's not in the statement.
Oh.
What were your opinions about the victim?
Okay. What were your opinions about the victim, Mr. Clark?
Well, I don't really know. I don't know her at all. She was just the main protagonist of all this building stuff on the ancient woodland.
And will her demise impact on this now?
I don't really know, but I jolly well hope it will.
Why are you so opposed to the development?
Well, it's going to wreck the whole place, isn't it? It's spoiled the nature of the whole countryside. More people, more noise, the great unwashed coming down with charabanc loads from Unter and coal for places like that. It doesn't bear thinking about.
And would it not directly affect your own property?
Yes, of course. Life wouldn't be worth living. Even the construction work is going to wreck the village.
Do you know of anyone else opposed to this plans?
At least those are very great.
Anyone in particular? On the parish council, for example?
There are very few people discussing this at the parish council, as a matter of fact. They even asked me to leave, and I'm supposed to be the chair of the damn thing. Planning committee, anyway. Mind you, I'd imagine that Ray wouldn't like it very much.
What about at the dinner party?
Well, we wouldn't discuss it at the dinner party. We've got some standards, you know. It's our host, wasn't it? We wouldn't want to do anything. Mind you, I do recall that Count Richard was trying to push his heritage there.
And what do you think about that idea?
Not much. As far as I'm concerned, these things are better left alone. I think the war is best left in the past, that sort of thing.
We've been told that you weren't at your peg
Who
prior
told
to
you that?
the
Who told
screams.
you that?
Is that true?
Yes. I may have wandered a little deeper into the woods to follow the call of nature. I mean, these cold mornings can play havoc with a man.
So what exactly did you hear?
A couple of screams followed by a dog barking or something.
So you just heard two screams and then a dog barking.
Yes.
And what about Vera? Did you notice her going up to the hut? She must have passed by about 5 minutes before the screams.
No, I didn't see it.
Were you wearing gloves during the shoot, Mr. Clark?
It was a cold morning, not getting any younger.
Would you please just answer the question?
Yes, I was wearing gloves.
Wearing gloves, was you, Mr. Clark? Very interesting. Well, that's all for now, thank you, but we may wish to talk with you later.
So, Mr. Did you learn any more about it after Vera confessed, sir?
Well, possibly, but I do like to sleep on these matters. I often get inspiration in the early hours. And then, of course, there's the forensics report and soil analysis that could throw more light on the situation, but it's been a long day, Chalmers. You better get some sleep too.
Thank you, sir.
We may need our wits about us tomorrow, so I'll see you at the station in the early morning. Good night, Chalmers.
Good night, sir.
Any questions at all? All right, Cora must have some questions.
Yes, Zen. Zen was father.
Okay, Zen. Who is your father in business with?
Sorry?
Who is your father in business with?
Well, it's one of the blokes who's in the army with. Just sort of like, you know, from way back.
I think that's a bit late.
Yeah. Don't like that one.
He looked dodgy anyway when he
What was
came
his name?
What, Charlie?
Not your dad's name, the
No,
gardener.
his name was Charlie.
Nice one.
That's Charles Cullen.
Any questions from Bergerac?
Who was on either side of the unfortunate lady who was shot?
Well, if you've been paying attention, you had to ask that question.
I haven't been paying attention.
Because, I haven't got it with me.
What, do you want to know the peg numbers?
Oh, no, it's
Yeah.
all right. I was number 6.
I was number 2.
No, so she was 7. Who was 8? I don't know who was 8.
Who was late?
Oh, Richard, where did I?
Richard, unfortunately, Richard would have been 8.
Yeah, Richard was number 8.
Was he 8 or late?
8 and late, yeah.
I'm sorry if I was a bit terse there. It's been a long night.
You were a bit
Was Catrina related to anybody in the family? In the village?
Anyone?
I knew Catrina the longest, but I don't recall her being related to anyone.
Oh, here is Richard.
Richard.
Where you been?
You stop drinking eating before.
I can't even notice her.
Well,
Could you please listen?
Well, as I say, me and my brother were up there digging, and it's mainly a load of old rubbish really, but sometimes we're really lucky finding boxes. And there's some documents and trinkets, and what we try and do is we try and repatriate them back to the owners. However, the Polish community it dispersed all over the place. A lot of people went back to Poland, so we can't give it back to them. So we just tend to keep it.
Frost, any questions? Like you, I'm a very keen fan of metal detecting. Can you tell me which model you use?
It's the IP7.
Otherwise called any old iron.
How about you, Shug? Any questions from Shug? Come on. Go on. Yeah, you got a question. Loads. School teachers. Loads of questions.
Here's a question for Tristram and Christine. It was nice that you've got lipstick on your face, and there's only a couple of women wearing lipstick. I was just wondering what your relationship with Christine was, and potentially were you having an affair and therefore wanted a bump?
I think it might be like my
Certainly not.
No.
Catrina was the love of my life. We went back so many years at university. I was besotted with the poor girl. Poor unfortunate Catrina. How could I not devote all of my love and attention to poor Catrina?
How did you feel when she rejected you in the dinner? Did you feel
I must
betrayed?
admit,
Were you angry?
I was sad. I was angry. And did feel betrayed. After all, she did marry Harry. Harry was the guy that was supposed to watch me at university. But hey, I waited all of these years for her, only to find that someone.
Before we use all the tissues up, I think Holmes has got some questions. Sure.
Ben, where is your brother Victor? In the hall.
Hey, well, I only see him at the weekend, and we go and do a bit of digging.
And the rest of the party know who the Victor is. They know what they recognise.
Well, no, most people I don't really mix in these circles, nor does my brother, Arthur.
I don't believe he was
I
invited.
actually
was he?
invited you, Zeno, for the shoot.
Yeah, that's
So
right,
we
yeah.
didn't include it, but I didn't have a contact.
Lewis, do you have any time for that question?
Can you just, all of you, before you show, put your hands up if you are left-handed?
didn't you get a first answer?
I did get a first answer, but that doesn't mean to say that I don't think I'm right.
Yeah, Charles Hines.
Charles.
Yes.
You've got many vices. You're an accountant to start with.
Yes. That's one of the vices I do have.
Yeah, and you're a quiet person, and you boss around by your wife.
Absolutely. Aren't we all?
There's
nothing new in life, is there?
Have you ever known Catrina?
Catrina? No. I've never known her, but I've known her company, Wellmade Homes. And they have been the subject of considerable loss on my own. Right. I think that she has an association with a company called Cllr, who I invested in quite heavily.
Yeah. Yes, and yes, by the way, how much you lost?
Good question.
Thank you.
Would you please cover my wife's ears? Because I lost rather a lot of money. About £1.5 million.
How much?
Only £1.5 million. We've actually made quite a lot up on the bonds that we set. And
Enough.
your sales on the
Stop.
road, yes.
Here.
No, no.
Enough.
Thank you very much. What the fuck kind of question?
Is there a relationship we should know about between Bill and Vera?
Relationship? Oh, good question.
Going on there?
Could it be clarifying the
I don't know if you two go out with one another.
Was he really going for a wee, or was there something else going?
Many years ago, perhaps.
We were just childhood friends, so to speak. Weren't we, Vera? We grew up together. By the derelict house.
Okay, we've got a minute or so left. Any more questions?
Right, there's one over there, so.
Yeah, go on, let's do the question without.
Clark, you disappeared from your career. When did you disappear, and how long were you gone for?
It was soon after we started out on the shoot, and I'm afraid it's these cold mornings, you see, it does actually get a cricket one. So I went off for the woods. I suppose I was away for 5 or 6 minutes, maybe a little longer.
Which peg were you on?
Excuse me?
Which peg were you
I was on 1.
Did anybody see you go?
I'm not sure. It's possible. I didn't make any secret.
Sarah, how are you getting money to pay for your driving lessons and university? How are you planning on funding that?
Well, I'm getting money from helping out with the dinners, and also my grandfather is helping me out.
Right.
Well, I think that's the end of the questions. I think you put some of the characters on their spot there, and I'm not entirely sure they answered the question. But you had about 5, 6, maybe 7 or 8 minutes now just to write down who you think committed the crime.
My camera.